Hey Adrian, how are you, man? Thank you for sitting down for this chat to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Tragic Kingdom. Uh, does it feel
Thank you.
25 years already, man?
It does, and it doesn't. If it's weird to look back at something that was so prevalent in our lives for so long, and I guess in some ways still is, and to have to pinch ourselves and go, "Geez, that was 25 years ago." I have to admit that I missed those days a little bit. It was a very exciting time, and when we toured, I mean, that record came out in 1995, but we kind of did the bigger venue tours of that in 1997, which it was, my greatest summer as far as having fun. And when I think back at those times, I feel really good. It's nice to think about it and nice to be reminded of it.
Yeah, 97 was the year that I was introduced to No Doubt, and it was like a phenomenal year and the year that changed it all, to be honest. It was phenomenal. And do you still listen the album from time to time, or it's been a while?
I generally don't. However, because this 25th anniversary was upon us, I did pull out the vinyl copy that I just recently got, um, and I threw it on, listened to it, and then I was also seeing like what kind of memories it would spark, especially knowing I was going in to talk to you three for an interview, and it was interesting to listen to it. I it was more energetic than I remember, and maybe that's just a product of being older, and also not have been playing with the band for over 5 years now. That those feelings of youthfulness that we were kind of hanging on to maybe are behind us a little bit. I don't know. We'll have to see. But um, the energy is what kind of struck me. Like we were kind of playing with reckless abandon. We were kind of all over the place. We weren't playing by too many rules because we didn't have success yet. And sometimes bands that have success start to get pressure from lots of different sides to maintain success. Sometimes that happens. But with that record in particular, it was kind of, we were kind of freeballing, and you could hear it because some of those songs are almost don't go together. But fortunately for us, it worked out, and they make sense.
Yeah, it's like a potpourri, right, of ideas and
Yeah.
different different years of recording. And I guess you guys had like a lot of different changes during the composition of the songs. And I bet all those songs have a lot of different versions, right? Until the final product.
There were many different versions because we had a demo studio in Anaheim. It was part of the house that some of us lived in, and we really got better at recording and better at crafting songs and arranging songs and exploring ideas because of that studio. And so, yet to your point, yeah, those songs went through a lot of variations. In fact, one in particular was Spiderwebs, because it started when we first were jamming it. Um, we were playing it really slow. It was like almost like a soul song. Doom, doo doo doom, doo doo doom, 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 doo doo doom, doo doo doom. And it's hard to imagine that now, but at the
Right.
time, that was kind of the starting idea and the feel.
Was there
Nice.
one
Yeah.
song, was there one song in particular that just took a while to record or that you remember like was there one that was harder than any of the others?
Well, there was a hiccup with the song "Excuse Me, Mister," because I think you all know that, but it took us over 2 years to record that record, and maybe even close to 3 years. I'm not certain, but it took more than two. And we tracked "Excuse Me, Mister" the first time around 1993, I think, at some point. And you have to excuse me because we recorded that album in 11 different studios, over the
Wow.
span of 2 to 3 years. So it's some of it's a little bit blurry, but that song in particular was recorded on the front end, probably in like 1993. And back then we weren't using computers; we were recording to reel tape. And so when we were done tracking that, we went back in the studio some months later. The producer says, "I think you guys should try this song in more of like almost like a country leaning, less of a rock punk-ish feel." We said, okay, we'll try it. We tried it, we recorded over it. Well, unbeknownst to us, that new version, they tracked over the original version.
Oh no.
No.
To save tape space.
Oh my God.
And so then, like, it must have been over a year down the line, we decided we don't like that version we tried that was suggested to us. We want to go with the original version. And they said, "Oh, we don't have it anymore." So
Rip, excuse me, mister.
the very last studio, the last recording studio that we went into, we tracked it for a third time, and we played it the way we had played it originally, and with the way we'd been playing it on stage. So that's the version that you hear.
Yeah, talking about, excuse me, mister. I know that you guys did a lot of different versions of this particular song live, and there's one that's been called Live Dub Mix. It's a very extended version where you guys keep interacting with the fan. This is one of the greatest moments of your Tragic Kingdom concerts.
You have to. Thanks for bringing that up, because now I have to go look at it because I totally forgot about it.
It's amazing. we adore it, and I think on the 2009 tour you did a very different version of the song as well. So different. Excuse me, Mister has a lot of different versions, and all of them are amazing. The song is.
Well, you seem to be reciting much more than I can remember. So if we do ever play again, I think I should probably get on with you three again and say, okay, tell me or us about the standout moments from previous tours. So then I can make a compilation and go, okay, we did this that seemed to work. We did this that seemed to work, and it's stuck in folks' minds. And
there are so many amazing moments.
And going with Fabio's, like, I particularly look back at the "Excuse Me, Mister" version of the performance at Red Rocks.
Yeah, that's the one.
That one
from 97.
No, that was 96, I guess.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that one in particular is the one that gets to my head because of the crowd interaction, and just the energy. And I want to say it was the last song on the set list, so it just appropriately, closed the whole show. It's just awesome. aside from all the jumping and everything.
Yeah, you guys didn't have the break yet. You were still like opening up shows for other bands.
Mm-hmm.
So when even told, do you even know who we are? We're the opening act. So she was trying to interact with the fans, and that song in particular, she like, you guys made a blast at that song. It was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we know that Tragic Kingdom, Adrian, took 2.5, almost 3 years to record. And you guys went through so many studios, just like you mentioned earlier. But after the first album debuted, and you guys, quote unquote, went with another record label, how was it? How did it feel for Interscope to give you like that second chance to finally get into doing Tragic Kingdom?
Just for clarity, Tragic Kingdom was released on Interscope and Trauma Records. They had some sort of a joint venture on that particular record. But to be frank and honest, it was tough at the time when we started recording Tragic Kingdom, and throughout the process of recording it, because it was a bit of a piecemeal and we were on a leash, meaning it was up to the record company to want to spend the money for us to go in the studio and record. And we would be sometimes waiting for months at a time to go back into the studio because in their minds, we didn't have the goods yet. And that was confusing to us. And by the way, we did, but
yes, you did.
But to well, let me back up. So when we were in the studio and trying to almost beg the record company for more studio time, we came to the conclusion that we have all these songs that are not going to make this record, because we had written, there was probably, I don't know, 30 songs, maybe more. And in fact, we had gone into a recording studio for one day just to demo 30 songs. So we played 30 songs live in the recording studio front to back in one day.
Wow.
Just to see what we had. And for the label too. And so once we realized, like, this record, Tragic Kingdom, might not come out for a long time, or it might never come out. We just didn't know. We didn't have the confidence. And so what we decided to do is take 10 songs that were not going to be on Tragic Kingdom, that we knew were not going to be on there, and go record them ourselves, pay for a studio ourselves. And we did that. Part of it was recorded at the Beacon Street house, the band house. Part of it was recorded at an inexpensive studio that we could afford at the time. And we just recorded those 10 songs, produced them ourselves, and put out that record ourselves to independent mom and pop shops. Even though wasn't really part of a record deal, not technically not supposed to do that, but we just thought, well, what do we have to lose? We weren't sure that we were ever going to be able to put out this record, Tragic Kingdom, and we thought, what's the worst thing that could happen? So we just did it. And so the Beacon Street record came out technically before Tragic Kingdom, but it's really a B-sides record to Tragic Kingdom.
Just a small just a curiosity. How did you narrow those 10 songs to be not part of Tragic Kingdom? How did you know those songs weren't supposed to be on Tragic Kingdom, so you could release them independently?
The short answer is democratic vote. We would all just like, and this happened constantly. We would make lists, and if a song got X amount of votes or a certain amount of votes, it would be on the A list. And then,
okay.
It just kind of went like that. There was actually 3 lists, because there was the songs that were not going to be on Tragic Kingdom. Then there were the songs that were not going to be on the Beacon Street collection. And then there was the songs that were not going to be on anything. Yeah.
So let me just understand. Why did you guys think that Total Hate, like, you had Bradley No, and Sublime was like 95? Sublime was starting to get big, 94, 95. So they had, K-Rock had picked them up at some point. Why not include that in Tragic Kingdom? It would have blown as a single around the time.
I don't remember why that song got chosen to be on Beacon Street instead of Tragic Kingdom. I don't remember. Like, I don't remember who voted for what, and I can't even remember what I voted for. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But you did open a label around that time, like the Sea Creatures.
Yeah, we kind of just what happened was we were going to independent distributors to give them Beacon Street so they could sell it to stores. We were also selling it to stores, independent record stores. And it didn't have a label at that time. But under our deal with Interscope, eventually we had to give them the rights to that album, because technically we recorded it under while being an Interscope artist. And so Sea Creature was created as sort of a sub-label, sort of our label, if we were going to maybe, I don't know, have Interscope sign another band that we were interested at the time, and maybe we could put it under the Sea Creature Interscope Umbrella, because there were bands doing that at the time. We actually never signed one band to Sea Creature, so it was kind of a logo that didn't actually end up having much meaning.
Okay.
Nice. So where are the unreleased songs? The songs that didn't make it
Yeah, where's the
on both
vault?
albums?
That was the question.
That's a good.
Where is the vault?
That's a good question. They are in a vault, I believe, and I have no idea what's going to happen with those songs, if anything. They do exist, I'm pretty sure. I'm not quite sure what format they're on. They might be on half-inch reel-to-reel tape. They might be on what's called DA88 tapes, which at the time was kind of like the newest technology that we were aware of to store files. But I don't know. I'd have to go digging, or one of us would have to go digging.
Do you remember any names, particular names of those unreleased songs?
Yes, let's see. There was Beneath the Surface. There was, oh geez. There's some really old songs that didn't make the first record as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, on the No Doubt Underworld, we do have tons and tons of old demos from the old cassette tapes that you guys released, and we have a lot of old recording from old school shows. So there are a lot of songs that have come to the surface, but nothing related to Tragic Kingdom, which is funny enough. We do know of some from the self-titled album, but never seen anything. I don't even think you guys played any of those songs live.
That's a good point. We probably didn't, and that maybe when we created those set lists, that was part of the thinning out process as to what was going to make either Tragic Kingdom or Beacon Street. You know, if they didn't, some of the songs didn't quite make it to us performing them live. I think maybe the writing was on the wall already.
Right.
I'm speculating in hindsight. It makes
Hey,
logical
Adrian.
sense. I don't know for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and we know that you guys, obviously with the recording taking so long, or just the studio time, y'all had jobs in between. What was your particular job at that time?
I was a waiter.
Where
I was
at?
a waiter. Oh yeah, I was a waiter. Where at?
Yeah.
A couple different restaurants. One was a small Southern California chain called Reuben's, which was a steak and seafood place. I was a waiter at an independent healthy food style place, Fullerton, in Orange County, called Rudabigors. That was my last waiter job.
Nice. Yeah. And so we know, obviously, the record's released. Fabio's wearing the shirt, and what an iconic, looking looking at the album cover. But the photo shoot in particular, how did all that come to be in terms of the overall look of the packaging of the album? Just like the feel, who dressed you guys?
We definitely dressed ourselves. That's for sure, because when I looked at the album cover earlier, and I think most, if not all, those clothes were from thrift stores. We were
Nice.
heavily into thrift store shopping. And as far as the album packaging goes, it was loosely based off of old California produce crate label art. So in fact, there's a book about it. Maybe I have it, maybe not. At one point, Tom had brought home a book that was sort of celebrating art from orange crate labels and other produce labels. It was pretty neat looking, actually. And so we kind of loosely based the album cover off of that. We come from Orange County, which used to be dairy farms and citrus groves predominantly. It's not now, but it was that way. In fact, there the band house was right next door to Disneyland. And
Right.
in the old days, you know, even before I was born, the Disneyland was part of it was surrounded by dairy farms and citrus groves at that time, which is kind of hard to imagine. But yeah, that was kind of the interpretation of that artwork.
The theme of it. Nice. And so, yeah, I have the orange crate back there. I don't know if you could see it.
Yeah, I do have it
It's
as well.
somewhere right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that in itself is. What's
No,
the
sorry, go
one
ahead.
What's the one memorabilia that you have from Tragic Kingdom that you just absolutely love?
Oh boy. She's, you know, I've kept all of my gold records, and
Oh yeah, that's right.
there's one, the one that is hard to ignore is the diamond record in from the United States, because the diamond record signifies 10 million records sold,
Right.
which is extremely rare for an artist to achieve that. So if I had to pick any piece of memorabilia, that's one of them. I would start with that.
Nice.
Just a small question, Adrian. Talking about the pre-Tragic Kingdom and the recordings and stuff. I noticed that on Big Insert Collection you have like some heavier songs from the usual, no doubt, like Greener Pastures and Snakes.
Mm-hmm.
What was for you guys to play heavier songs? You know about all the influence, and I know that Tom had a heavy metal influence and stuff. And what did it feel for you guys to make such different styles on even the same album? Because you have songs like Doghouse and Blue in the Face, and you have like Snakes and Greener Pastures on the same album.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I really appreciated about not only getting in the band but being in the band, is that the rules were they were very small. Uh, I mean, for instance, you know, in the early days of the band, you know, they were playing a lot of ska, and I was in the audience before I was in the band, and you know, it was a lot of ska shows, a lot of it was kind of, you know, California's version of you know, the acknowledging two-tone ska. And when No Doubt started to deviate or at least explore from that, they got a lot of flack for it, even before I got in the band. But what I appreciated was I could see a movement and a growth and a willingness to see what else is out there. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't, you know. But I will say that it sure was interesting and a lot more fun to go, hey, let's play Blue in the Face, and then we're gonna also play a song like Snakes, which is like a, you know, pretty much a full-on rock song.
Right.
And I loved it because I came from a 70s rock background as well before I got heavily into ska in the early 80s. And so on a personal level, I loved it. I loved every minute that we kind of stepped into more rock territory.
Me too. Me too. Personally, and I think you guys could only do it because it was an independent album. I think if the label was running through the decisions of which songs you should put on the album, do you think they would allow you to put such different genres and styles on the same album, or more cohesive?
I'm sorry, you're gonna have to ask that question again because my phone was going crazy.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I was asking. I think you guys were able to put those songs on an album because you released it by yourselves. You were the ones that picked the songs. Because if a record company was like saying, okay, you should have a more cohesive album with a more um, with a genre of songs that fit, not some like very different styles on the same album.
It's a good question. So I think the record company and record companies in general you know, because they're putting up the money and they have a financial interest, they're going to have those opinions. And in the case of No Doubt, during the years of 93 to 95, we were often told that we needed to focus our sound more. And we fought it. We didn't agree with it. And we also didn't see ourselves as, you know, becoming a really, really successful band. We just wanted to be in our band and make music and tour. And so that was a hard pill for us to swallow, and we didn't really. I mean, the record company was correct in the sense that some of our songs were really long, and they would go in a lot of different directions and a lot of different time signatures at that time. And maybe we needed to focus a little bit more, but saying that we need to focus our style a little bit more, I totally disagreed and still disagree, because we already had a sound. And by the way, Tragic Kingdom is proof that you can have an eclectic record that's kind of all over the place and be successful with it.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you.
Thank you.
Adrian, how was your reaction to coming home and thinking that, wow, we made it after Just a Girl went like big?
Well, after Just a Girl became sort of became a hit on MTV and the radio, we didn't totally have that moment of like, whoa, this is a homecoming, because we were promoting that record for 2.5 years and going around the world. And so, you know, we would see the charts, especially back home at that time, but we were still, you know, doing interviews every day and playing shows. And at that point, we weren't playing big shows yet either. We were still in clubs and theaters, I think, at the time. And so it wasn't an immediate impact. By the time we got home to play the Pond, the Pond was at the end of our summer arena tour of '97. So by then we had already, you know, been 5 singles deep into the record and absorbing the strange and awesome success that we had achieved.
Yeah. So you never imagined that from the kicking off the tour to the end, it would take like nearly 3 years.
No, we just wanted to put the record out and be able to tour and see the world.
Yeah. And I can imagine your reactions, because you were on tour when Don't Speak like was #1 for so many weeks and months and became this huge phenomenon that everyone knows.
It was often an out-of-body experience, because we would see Don't Speak on the charts in so many different countries. And so, you know, you can't be all those places at once, obviously, but we could see it, and it looks so strange and exciting at the same time, because we're just going, look at this and look at that, like, what the fuck? And so it was really, really exciting and also very weird.
Yeah, and just a silly question: did you ever get tired of playing Don't Speak?
I think at a certain point, but that's I have to look at that, and that's ridiculous, because that's the most known song, and
Yes.
Right.
I can't imagine going to see a band that I like and the band not playing the song I know the best. That would be weird to not play it. So
And there are some bands that do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not of that mind. People pay money
Yeah.
to see you, and they deserve to at a minimum pay, you know, see what they paid for.
Yeah, of course. Tragic Kingdom, as you mentioned earlier, the Diamond certification, 10 million copies on the US, and it has sold over 16 million copies worldwide. Those are huge numbers. I think nowadays you don't see this stuff happening like frequently. And did you ever expect it to sell it that much?
No. Like I said before, we just wanted to put it out and tour and be able to travel. You know, if we had been able to pack clubs around the world, we would have been so happy with that. We did not have any expectations beyond that. That was a hope. That wasn't even an expectation to play clubs around the world. That was a hope. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
How did it feel, Adrian, to go to other countries and see people where English isn't even, their language, and to see them sing back? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
I think traveling in general is wonderful. And to be able to travel to another country, to have people enthusiastically admire what you're doing in a band, I mean, that's epic. It's just a awesome experience. I don't even know how to explain that to someone that has never felt that. It's truly overwhelming and really amazing. And to go beyond that further, I noticed it even more in third world countries, like you say, where people maybe didn't even speak English. And often the audiences of third world countries, or countries that aren't normal tour stops for bands, the reaction was generally way more excitable, way more frantic, way more like, wow, listen to this fucking crowd. This is unbelievable. They're just so into it. And, there are a few countries that stood out from that time that we went to that maybe don't see as many concerts as London, LA, or New York. And India stands out. Israel stands out. Brazil, Buenos Aires, Argentina was bonkers. That was like one of the one times where it almost had like a snippet of what it's like to be a Beatle, because they were actually they were at the airport and swarming the van as we're leaving and hitting the van and rocking the van. It was like,
Yeah, guilty of that.
And so yeah, it was just we played in Venezuela. Unbelievable, truly epic experience to have played that place in particular. There are more.
You played there on the Rocksteady tour, right?
We played there in 2000.
Caracas.
We played
Caracas Pop Festival.
Return of Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I remember Caracas Pop Festival, there are some footage online, and the crowd was like singing.
Unreal.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Yeah, it's vivid in my mind. That in particular, yes.
Yeah.
So when talking about touring, you played most of the Tragic Kingdom concerts were on clubs and theaters. How was the feeling like to jump, like you mentioned, the pond, like it's a huge place for the ducks and stuff. How was the transition? Like, whoa, we are playing arenas now.
Well, it was gradual because it went from clubs to theaters to arenas. And we had a taste of playing arenas as an opener because we had opened for Bush in '96. And we played a couple other bigger shows as an opening act. So we kind of had a taste of it, but when you're doing your own show in an arena, my, oh my, it's just a remarkable feeling. And, it's tough in a sense to have this conversation because I look back at that and I cherish those moments. They were so fun and exciting. I'm also frustrated by it because, our band doesn't play live anymore. And I'm not, this is not a COVID thing. Our band just doesn't play live anymore. And I want to play live. I wish we could. I wish that everyone else in the band felt the same. And so that part, we are celebrating the 25th anniversary, but I would be remiss to not acknowledge that I am frustrated and bummed that we are not a band seeking to play live, because I think that's what we do best. Those are the most rewarding moments, I think, for all of us. And hopefully someday we'll do that again.
And we're going back to the arena tours, and then you guys has a bigger production, and it's on your show. So you have that beautiful set that we had heard before, that it was some folks that work for Cirque du Soleil, and it had the beautiful oranges and trees, and I was very in love with that set. But one thing from that set that stood with us, it was just a small detail, and Fabio and Nathan and I just kind of got ourselves laughing with that. You had a doll head on your drums. So it was something very small, but it caught our eyes. What was that doll head? What was that about?
So earlier in that touring cycle, I think we were in a club somewhere, and I don't remember which country. Someone had thrown that doll head on stage, and it ended up in my zone, and it had like black circles, and it looked like pencils had poked the eyes out, and there was it must have been ketchup like this, and I think it might have said Satan across the forehead or something.
Oh my God.
Something silly like that. And I thought, this is so funny. And I just went plop on one of my hardware stands, and it stayed there for the better part of a year.
That's awesome.
Oh my God. So you Tragic Kingdom had 5 singles. Sorry, sometimes I get. And that's something that does not happen for every album, even successful albums.
Mm-mm.
So how was how was your process, No Doubt process, to selecting singles? And from the first one, we are going to go with Just a Girl, and then the following ones. So
that is definitely a hybrid conversation with the band management and the record company, and those are strategic conversations. Basically, we as musicians, especially at the time being as young as we were, we would kind of go on instinct with our opinions, and then then people at the label would say we agree or disagree based on what research tells us, and
projection.
And then there's some sort of consensus, and then we go forward, and then we make the videos and we start promoting.
So was there any song that you felt it should have been a single, I should have fought harder, and it was something that the band wanted and the record label said, no, it's a good song, but not a single?
Not on that record. I mean, like you said,
Wow.
we had 5 singles. So, I mean, how fortunate were we to have 5 singles, on one album? That's so rare that we, at that point, we're like, yeah, you want to do another one? Cool. Oh, you want to do Sunday? I mean, I don't know whose idea it was to do Sunday morning after Don't Speak. It was probably ours, but I don't really know. But either way, it was like, wow, we have an opportunity to keep going and make more videos. And how awesome is that? So with Tragic Kingdom, I don't remember there being too much of a dispute as to the order or which songs are going to be singles. I cannot say the same for other No Doubt records.
Yeah.
Whoa. So if you think about it, during the Tragic Kingdom era, you had 6 singles, not 5, because Way to the World was something that should have been like a small participation on the Olympics charity fund, and it blew up. And it was a Vandal song, but it became a No Doubt song.
Well, it more importantly, it's a Christmas song.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a seasonal thing. But yeah, we would watch the Vandals, because the Vandals were on tour with us for part of that Tragic tour. And we would see them play that song every night. And we actually recorded that song while on tour. And Warren Fitzgerald, the guitar player in the Vandals, produced that song for us. So we had a day off in Nashville, and we went in the studio and recorded that song for an upcoming Christmas song for the Special Olympics. And then we did the video while we were in India on a day off as well. That was challenging, but really interesting and awesome.
Even more than 6 because they were released as singles on other countries like Happy Now and Hey You.
Hey You. Uh-huh.
Hey
So I
You and
think there
Happy
was
Now were released on singles on.
Holland and Denmark.
I have seen those. That's right. I guess they weren't, at least from my perspective, they weren't hits, but maybe they were more so than I realized. I don't know.
Yeah. Let me just ask you something, Adrian, regarding the tour. You were talking about the Vandals, and you guys made a lot of covers during your tours with No Doubt, from the pre-TK eras, and during the Tragic Kingdom, you did Pat Benatar's Heartbreaker and Obla Di Obla Da by the Beatles. And how was to play those songs live? I know a lot of them were your idols, and did you ever heard about them listening to your covers or talking something about those?
Oh, good question. So we've always played covers. We've always loved doing it. It's almost like a freebie in the set where we get to play something that, like you said, by a band that we grew up listening to, or a song that we grew up listening to often. It's just a lot of fun, and we always have done it. In fact, we used to play Love Will Keep Us Together by Captain and Tennille, a song from the 70s. We used to play that. That was a lot of fun. And so as far as reactions from the artists, other than the Vandals, I can't think of anybody that's reacted to, hey, you guys did that cover of that song. It was so cool, or it sucked, or whatever their opinion was. I don't recall getting any feedback from covers we played on stage, except, and to me, this is the most important one. In 2010, we played the Kennedy Center Honors, and one of the inductees was Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And so we did a medley of Beatles songs. And afterwards, well, he told me this at Coachella, actually, months later, that he just so appreciated the way we played them. The energy that we brought to him reminded him of the energy that they had back in the 60s. And, you know, when you have someone like Paul McCartney, it's giving me goosebumps just thinking about it. Yeah. Pay you an honest compliment like that. It feels wonderful, because, you know, it could go the other way. He could just say nothing, or you get that look, where you kind of know deep down, like,
not good.
They're not digging it, right? And so we haven't heard back from anybody, including like the people that wrote the Talk cover, It's My Life, that we did. I maybe we have, but I don't have any recollection of hearing any feedback from them either. Maybe they didn't like it. I don't know. It's hard to say.
I think they did. My favorite cover that you guys did, you actually did it on that mini club tour that predated the release of Return of Saturn. And you, since I'm an 80s kid, you covered Jumping on Someone Else's String by The Cure.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
We only have like the people with the tape recording from the concert, but it was an amazing cover, and it suited No Doubt style very well.
Thank you.
Yeah, one of my favorites is the Elvis song "Suspicious Minds." I adore that cover.
I forgot about that. Thank you.
Oh my God, that is amazing. That one's amazing.
Yeah, I personally like All I Want to Do. And Racist Friend. UB40. Yeah, and Racist Friend on the singles tour. So that
was a lot of fun to play. And that's one of those kind of covers where I don't think it was in its day, it was a big hit commercially, but you know, we were such big fans of UB40 that just felt good to do. So that's where that free pass comes in the set, where it's like you could probably play a song that it might be lesser known, but if it feels good and it comes off and the audience loves it, then it's wonderful. And to tag on Racist Friend by the Special AKA, it made perfect sense to us. It felt good to do that.
If we start like thinking about it, there are a lot of covers, DJs, and oh my God, so
Yeah.
many ones.
I forgot about a lot of
Gun,
you were helping me.
Guns of
Yeah, we are like
Navarone and
encyclopedias for No Doubt, so
yeah,
pick our
Stand
brains.
and Deliver.
Right.
Oh my God, so many great ones.
Thank you.
A lot of
So finishing up the tour, what are the best memories that you have that kind of stand out aside from meeting Nina? Which what is this something that is how can I say it stuck with you? It's like something that is just it's going to you're going to cherish that memory forever.
Well, like I mentioned earlier, the summer of 1997 is the one that will always stand out. Part of that is because I met my wife, and then also playing arenas with my band. That when our goal was just to put this record out and tour and be so happy if we were to pack clubs. It just went beyond all of our wildest dreams, and I look back on that summer with nothing but fondness.
I do have a question that the two other ones forgot, and most fans want to know. It's about you. Okay, so a long way back, a long time ago, you did a segment for an MTV show called
Oh
Cribs.
yeah.
They forgot, really?
Called what?
Cribs.
cribs.
MTV Cribs. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So we
It
posted
was right here.
this.
It was right here.
Right in this house. Okay.
Yeah.
So we posted on the past week, and there were a lot of comments. And the main question is, who are the clowns?
By the way, you've brought up a regret that I forgot about. I regret.
Joey?
I regret doing the show.
I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say you regret Nina showing us your drawer of thongs.
I don't care about that. I just regret doing the show in the sense that at the time I thought I like this show and I want to show my house. I was excited about my house and I hadn't had it very long, and I thought that looks like fun to do. And what it ended up being is it brought me an extra amount of popularity outside of just being a musician in a band that I wasn't really after. And also looking back on it, it's a little bit like, hey, look at my bitchin' house. Like when I look at that or think about this, like it feels obnoxious. And so what seemed like harmless and fun to me, I wish I hadn't done it for those reasons. However, the clowns, I don't regret bringing them in at all. I have a liking of clowns and clown art, and I have dozens of clown paintings. I have a bar here in the house, and I think it's actually in the episode. And and so I think I was talking to a friend one day, and we were joking around, like, wouldn't it be funny to have a party with, just random clowns hanging out? and then when we were doing the episode, the thought came back, oh man, let's hire some clowns.
Oh my God.
Tell them to show up kind of shitty and hungover looking. Don't talk, just be a part of the scene. We're not gonna acknowledge them, they're just there. And I thought it would be fun, and it was. I like that part of the episode. I like that the most, actually.
So they're just hire clowns.
Yeah, I didn't know any of them.
See?
We were
There was a
discussing
mystery,
to see who was.
And a while
Best
back,
of.
there was a discussion if it was other band members or other musicians from other bands, maybe even Warren for Vandals or from other bands. So that puts the rumor to rest.
Well, he's actually in the episode laying by the pool nude. Warren.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
At the very end. That's right.
Yeah.
On Cribs?
Yeah, it goes by kind of fast.
Uh-huh.
It goes by
Oh God.
Yeah, because the band's sitting outside near the pool, and then Warren's
Oh
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. But talking about nudity, when did it start, Adrian?
Sure.
When did it start?
We are trying to keep
well,
it
I
PG,
saw-
but
The first time I saw anybody do that, I think I used to go see Fishbone quite a bit.
Right.
And when I was a young teen, I saw Angelo Moore, the singer of Fishbone, do that at Fender's Ballroom in Long Beach. And the shock of it all was intriguing to me. And then I'd seen other people do it as well after that, and I just felt the need, the want to do that.
the need, the want.
Yeah, I don't know how else to explain it. As juvenile as that sounds, I thrived on some of the shock that it brought to people, and then it became kind of expected. And when it became expected, then I kind of stopped doing it because it was, some people started calling me the naked guy, and I thought, okay, this is absurd. You need to just be a musician.
But like so many years later, now you are a parent. You practically have a grown-up son and you have a teenage daughter. Aren't you afraid of them Googling and seeing the naked drummer?
They're 18 and 9, and
Oh yeah.
they already know. They already know that I have a rock and roll side to me that it wasn't like one day they're waking up and they're going like, what, you did this,
Actually,
we live in a pretty open household, so discussions that maybe some other houses aren't having about societal norms, they happen earlier and more frequently in this house, so they're prepared.
Great.
That's
Good.
Actually, there was a performance of Ex-Girlfriend that you guys did on Portuguese TV channel.
Yes.
Where you're reading the book, right?
I had to censor you so I could post it on our YouTube channel.
I can't find it.
I have it. If you want, I can send it to you. Yeah.
Will you send me a link? Because I tried to find that years ago.
I have the uncensored version, and the censored one is on our YouTube channel. It was called Herman Sick Show, something like this.
It was a daytime talk show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it's going on Portuguese opera and getting naked.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, someone had said that the Portuguese media is very liberal about that, and that I could do it. And I said, "Fuck yeah, I'm going for it."
And you had that phallic shaped charm, like a cushion.
I did.
The heart one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, he brings this one and that one. Oh my God.
Yeah. I can't undo that. I can't undo that. I don't want to undo that.
No, you don't have to. It's so
It was
funny.
fine. I had an extended adolescence, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Do you guys keep the props?
Sorry?
Like, do you guys keep the props, like stage props, like from the Treasure Kingdom and the
some of the bigger pieces we couldn't store anymore, like the Saturn that was above the stage. It was so big that we shipped it to a friend that had a big warehouse. I don't know what he did with it, but and then the trees from Tragic Kingdom, they disintegrated, so we had to toss those. I think most of the props are gone. They couldn't withstand the years and just kind of fell apart, or they wouldn't be used again, or they were just too large to house.
Yeah. Adrian, sorry that we were taking a lot of your time, but
that's okay.
I just want to ask you, after Tragic Kingdom, when you were going into the Return of Saturn phase and album recording, by the way, it's my all-time favorite album ever recorded. Return of Saturn for me, it's
thank you.
It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece. You cannot imagine how the fans cherished that album. We made a poll once, and it was like the most voted one.
Thank you.
As the favorite. And the pressure that you had on your backs from the Tragic Kingdom success, and coming up with this masterpiece and so many complex songs and lyrics. And how was for you regarding your drum skills? And did you have to learn anything new? Did you have to play a different way for those songs?
Not too much, because that record is pretty much just a straight up rock pop record. It's not, it wasn't going into crazy different territory. And all of our chops were at a high point for us at that time, because we had toured so much that we were playing at a high level together. And so we went into to make that record, we were very confident with our instruments. And I felt like I wasn't terribly restricted as far as like throwing in drum fills here or there, or doing things that were a little bit more flashy for me. I think some of that went away for follow-up records to that, but that record still was pretty pure in the sense where we just went in and played what we felt without too much influence, outside influence.
So, quick question. Adrian's favorite No Doubt album?
Hard to pick. If I had to pick one, I would probably say Return of Saturn.
And Adrian's favorite No Doubt song?
I don't have one.
Favorite song from Return of Saturn? Any standout one that you said, oh my God, we killed on this?
I'd have to look at it. It's, it's really hard, I think, for me to say one thing. Even saying that's my favorite record is, if I had to pick, and I picked that, but it's hard for me to pick a favorite anything, because I'm in the middle of it. So my objectivity is a little bit skewed,
Picking up a favorite son, like picking up a favorite son, right?
It's like picking up the favorite child.
I don't have a favorite food either. I like a lot of different food.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. You don't have a favorite food, but No Doubt does seem to love Mexican food.
Oh,
yeah.
Been the recurring themes.
We grew up on it. We're Southern California kids, so yeah.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
Just a question: how was to meet David Bowie on the Brazil tour?
He was such an idol. I think for all of us in the band, and for me in particular, because I grew up, and my house is a very rock and roll house, and so we had every day in the 70s as a child, we were listening to, Deep Purple and David Bowie and Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix and the Doors and Janis Joplin and Bob Marley. And so David Bowie was just a big part of that vinyl rotation in our house every day. And to get to play with him and meet him was a big deal. It was tremendous. I do have going back to the nudity thing, I do have a sidebar. When we were playing with David Bowie in Buenos Aires in 97, I think it was, at one point during the set, I would go to the front of the stage during Hey You and play the congas to the side in the front.
Yeah, acoustic version.
I was nude for that concert, and I remember playing the congas and kind of dancing around doing my thing. And I looked to my left, and there was David Bowie and his wife. And I got really self-conscious at that moment. And I normally wouldn't when I would go nude. And for whatever reason, at that moment I did. And I had those moments of like, what the fuck are you doing? And I still, obviously it's vivid in my mind, because it instantly came back when you brought up David Bowie. But more importantly, to play with him was a really big deal.
Nice. You have encountered a lot of great people. Like you played with Sting and a lot of other great people. So
yeah,
I think it's a great run. Adrian, thank you so much for this chat. We are beyond honored to have the opportunity to talk to you about the album that changed our lives and your lives, right? So thank you so much. You're a great guy. You're a great drummer. and we appreciate everything you've done for us.
Well, the honor's mine. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much, Adrian.
Have a nice Sunday.
You
You too.
Bye.
Say hi to Nina.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.